Luis Enrique at Paris Saint-Germain. Because what's happening at PSG right now, or rather, what began there under Luis Enrique from 2023, is generally fascinating and it deserved a moment. When Luis Enrique arrived at the Parc des Princes, PSG were in identity crisis. The Qatari superstar experiment, Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe, all on the pitch at the same time, billions spent, Champions League still out of reach, had run its course. Neymar left for Saudi Arabia. Messi was gone. The brief era of collecting the world's most expensive player and hoping they'd figure it out was over. Luis Enrique brought something different, a system, a collective, a high pressing, 4-3-3, where nobody was bigger than the team, not even Mbappe.
Yo te he leído que te gustaba Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan cogía de los huevos a todos sus compañeros y se ponía a defender como un hijo de puta. Tú tienes que dar ese ejemplo, primero como persona y como jugador, de ir a presionar. Vas a tener a Cubarsí, vas a ser tú el que marca a Cubarsí y a Ter Stegen. Y te vas a pegar todo el partido presionando a Cubarsí que no avance y presionando a Ter Stegen para que juegue rápido. Y volviendo rápido. ¿Para qué? Para ser un líder. Porque tú piensas como que tú nos tienes que marcar los goles. Claro, tú eres un fenómeno, un top mundial, ninguna duda. Pero yo, no me vale eso. Un líder de verdad es que cuando no nos puedes ayudar con los goles, porque el otro día tenías a dos jugadores de alto nivel para ti y no puedes ayudarnos, tú nos ayudas en todo lo defensivo. Coges así y dices, chavales, línea defensiva, quedaros ahí 4, que yo voy a coger a mis dos compañeros, porque si tú solo presionas, es la hostia. Pero si encima coges a Usman y a Colomwani o a Barcola o a Gonzalo o a Marco Asensio y te pones tú como ejemplo a presionar, ¿sabes lo que tenemos? Una puta máquina de equipo. Eso es lo que yo quiero que hagas tú, como líder aquí. Los 2 meses que te quedan. Yo quiero que te vayas aquí por la puerta grande. Kiki, ninguna duda. Pero te lo tienes que ganar. Y te lo tienes que ganar no atacando. Atacando ya sé que eres Dios. Atacando no hay nadie como tú. Ya lo sé. Pero el día que tú no ataques, tienes que ser el mejor jugador de la historia defendiendo. Eso es un líder. Eso es Michael Jordan. ¿Sí? ¿Te queda claro? Sí. Pues ya te explicaré el ataque.
Vitinha became one of the best midfielders in Europe. Ousmane Dembélé, reunited with his former Barcelona manager, played the best football of his career. The squad was leaner, hungrier, more coherent. They reached the Champions League semi-final in 2024 with a team that, on paper, should not have gone that far. They played with intensity and clarity that PSG never shown in European knockout stage before. And when Mbappé eventually left for Real Madrid, the project didn't collapse. This is real. This is important. This is the kind of transformation that could one day land Luis Enrique on a list like this one. Luis Enrique PSG chapter is still being written. Watch this space. For now, back to the list. Let's start with a man who had never played professional football a day in his life. That's not a metaphor. That's a fact. Arrigo Sacchi, the coach who built what many expertise still consider the greatest club side in the history of European football. When Silvio Berlusconi appointed him manager of AC Milan in 1987, the football establishment in Italy responds with something between confusion and outright mockery. Carlo Ancelotti, who was a player at Milan at the time, who later became one of the most successful managers in before Sacchi, Italian football was defined by Catenaccio, defensive, reactive, organized, around protecting what you had. Serie A was the best league in the world because Italian teams were so hard to beat, so tactically disciplined, so suffocating in their defensive structure. Attacking football was considered naive. Pressing was considered exhausting and unnecessary. You waited, you absorbed, you hit on the counter. Arrigo Sacchi looked at this orthodoxy and said, no. He installed a 4-4-2, a flat back 4, revolutionary in Italy at the time, with the entire team pressing the opponent as a compact, coordinated unit. The defensive line pushed up aggressively, compressing space. Every player had a specific zone to press. When Milan won the ball, the transition was instant, vertical, explosive. Berlusconi signed Ruud Gullit and Marco van Basten, then Frank Rijkaard, three Dutch masters, inserted to Sacchi framework, given the physical quality and the technical brilliance to execute the vision at the highest level. In 1988, Milan won Serie A. A year later, they won the European Cup, beating Steaua Bucharest in the final, with Gullit and Van Basten each scoring twice. In 19, they won it again, beating Benfica 1-0 in Vienna, becoming the first club to defend the European club since Nottingham Forest a decade earlier. He proved that how you play matters as much as what you win. His Milan was not just effective, it was beautiful. Sacchi left Milan in 1991 to manage the Italian team national. Pep Guardiola has named Sacchi as one of the 2 or 3 coaches who influenced him most. Jurgen Klopp has cited him. Marcelo Bielsa, a loco himself, the godfather of the modern pressing game, traces a direct line back to Sacchi Milan. He didn't win the most trophies, he didn't manage the longest, but in 4 years at one club, Arrigo Sacchi changed the language of football. Johan Cruyff, Barcelona to 1988 to 1996. Let's start with context. Before Cruyff arrived as manager, Barcelona had won only one European Cup in their entire history. They were a big club, yes. They were a Catalonia's pride, yes, but they were not by any measure the dominant force in the world football. Real Madrid had 9 European Cups. Ajax had 3. Barcelona had 1. As a player, Cruyff has already revolutionized football at Ajax. Total football. Every player capable of playing any position. Now, as a manager, Cruyff brought that entire philosophy to Barcelona. And he didn't just implement into the first team. He built La Masia. The Barcelona Youth Academy was reshaped entirely under Cruyff influence. A philosophy when installed. Technical quality above physicality. Intelligence above brute force. Possession above everything. The result will take decades to be fully understood, but they can. Xavi Hernandez entered La Masia. Andrés Iniesta, Victor Valdés, Carles Puyol, Sergio Busquets, a small malnourished boy from Rosario, Argentina, was growth hormone deficit, was paid for by Barcelona FC in exchange for him joining the academy. Players, every pillar of the greatest generation of Barcelona history, was formed in the academy Johan Cruyff rebuilt. Defeat to AC Milan in the 1994 European Cup final exposed the cracks. In 1996, after a poor run of results, Barcelona president sacked Cruyff. But what he left behind was immortal. Pep Guardiola. Without Cruyff, there is no Guardiola Barcelona. Without Cruyff, La Masia. There is no Messi, no Xavi, no Iniesta. Without Cruyff philosophy, there is no tiki-taka, no pressing, no modern game. Cruyff didn't just Barcelona, he changed football. He's not the best manager on the list. He's the root of 3 that produce all of them. This might be the most considered period of excellence in football history. When Pep Guardiola was appointed Barcelona first team manager in June 2008, he was 37 years old. He had managed only the B team. The appointment was bold, even reckless. Joan Laporta took a gamble, and it paid off in ways that nobody could have predicted. What Guardiola created at Barcelona between 2008 and 2012 was not just a football team. It was philosophy given physical form. It was a tactical system so complete, so coherent. Tiki-taka, short passes, constant movement, relentless pressing when out of possession, total control when in it. A team of 11 men who moved as a one organism.
No niego que estoy aquí no solo por el hecho de que entrara un año en tercera división y ha ido bien, sino por lo que había hecho en esta casa como futbolista. Es decir, no sé si se hubieran atrevido a coger un entrenador que solo hubiera estado en tercera división, y entiendo las dudas que tengan. Siento que a los 2 meses, estas dudas van a decrecer, tendrán menos, simplemente porque siento de que estoy preparado, simplemente esto. Pero entiendo perfectamente que puedan dudar.
And the center of it all, a 21-year-old named Lionel Messi. Guardiola, most important tactical decision, the one that changed everything, was moving Messi from the right wing into a false 9 position. No fixed striker. Messi free to roam, to drop deep, to create, to finish. Opponents didn't know how to defend it. They still don't. In 4 seasons, Guardiola, 2 Champions League, 3 La Ligas, 2 Copa del Rey, 2 Spanish Super Cups, 2 UEFA Super Cups, and 2 Club World Cup. 14 trophies in 4 years. They beat Barcelona 5-0 in the Clásico. They destroyed Arsenal 4-1 at Emirates. They humiliated Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Yes, they played Manchester United off the pitch in the 2009 and 2011 Champions League final in a way that reduced Sir Alex Ferguson, the greatest manager in history, to admitting he had never seen a team like them. Coaches around the world started copying the pressing triggers, the positional rotation, the goalkeeper playing as an extra outfield player. Entire footballing culture shifted because of what happened at Camp Nou between 2008 and 2012. And then, at the age of his power, with 1 year left of his contract, Guardiola did something that shocked the world. He quit. He said he was exhausted. That intensity had burned him out. That he needed a break. In 4 years, he had given Barcelona everything he had, and he walked away before he had nothing left to give. That, in its own strange way, is the final proof of his genius. He understood that the greatest team dies slowly, through repetition and fatigue. By living at the peak, he preserved the legend. 27 years, 13 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cup, 2 Champions League trophy, one of the most sustained periods of dominance in the history of professional sports. When Sir Alex Ferguson arrived at Manchester United in November 1986, the club was a sleeping giant, famous, historic, but underachieving. Liverpool had won 18 league titles. United had won one since 1967. The city was theirs, but the era belonged to their rivals. What Ferguson did over the next 27 years is almost beyond comprehension. First, he cleaned up the drinking culture. Players who had become comfortable with mediocrity were moved on.
I said that to players today. It's a terrible position to be in, me standing there, introducing myself to new players and the voice of the manager. And it's
A
that
new
kind of
standard was set, based on relentless hunger, physical preparation, and an iron will to win. Then came the youth revolution, the Fergie fledglings, the class of '92, David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Nick Butt, 6 players, 6 from the same youth intake who would go on to define a new era of English football. Ferguson didn't just buy success, he grew it. The 1999 treble remained the defining achievement of English football in the modern era. League, FA Cup and Champions League won in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. In the Champions, he later claimed he didn't, but the footage suggests otherwise. But what makes squads 4, 5, 6 times, from Mark Hughes to Eric Cantona, Teddy Sheringham to Ruud van Nistelrooy to Wayne Rooney to Robin van Persie. Every era had a different United, but the same Ferguson. He mastered the press, he mastered the boardroom, He mastered the psychology of young players and veteran champions alike. He understood that the biggest opponent in football wasn't the team across the pitch. It was complacency. The greatest crime in football, he once said, is not failure, is mediocrity. He's never accepted mediocrity. Not once, not for 27 years.